There comes a point in life when you realize that attraction is no longer about youth, appearance, or the superficial things we once believed mattered. After 60, everything changes. A man's value is shaped not by how he looks, but by who he has become. By the strength of his character, the clarity of his mind, and the depth of his presence. And when a woman still finds you irresistible at this stage of life, it is never an accident. It is the result of energy you carry, the maturity you've earned, and the way you make her feel without even trying. When we talk about the first sign, that subtle gravity of presence, we're talking about something far deeper than looks or charm. Presence is the silent language of a lifetime. By the time a man reaches 60, he carries with him everything he has lived through: the victories, the losses, the lessons, the discipline, the mistakes, the wisdom. All of it settles into the way he walks, the way he speaks, the way he breathes. And a woman who still finds you irresistible at this age is responding to that life-earned energy. She isn't drawn to you because of how you dress or how neatly you style yourself, although those things matter, but because of the stability you radiate simply by existing in the room. Most people misunderstand attraction because they think it is loud. They think it shows up as excitement, explosions, but real attraction, especially later in life, is quiet. It moves like a shift in the air, like a subtle change in temperature. She won't announce it. She won't show it in obvious gestures. Instead, she'll reveal it in the way she becomes slightly more attentive when you speak, or in how her eyes soften when she notices you walk into a space. You'll feel that her awareness adjusts itself around your presence, almost as if she is intuitively calibrating to your energy. At this age, people do not react to you because of fantasy. They react to you because of resonance. When she still finds you irresistible, it's because your presence strikes a chord inside her. Maybe you remind her of a feeling she hasn't experienced in a long time. Security, inspiration, curiosity, or maybe you carry a calmness she deeply respects. But whatever it is, she feels something when you are near, and she doesn't feel the need to hide it. Not through words, but through attention. This presence is not something you manufacture. You don't force it. You don't perform it. In fact, the moment you try to appear impressive, the illusion breaks. Presence is born from authenticity. It's the result of a man who has finally stopped running from himself. Someone who understands his values, recognizes his strengths, and accepts his imperfections without apology. That level of inner alignment naturally draws people in because it is rare, and rarity creates magnetism. A woman who still feels drawn to you after 60 senses this magnetism instinctively. She doesn't analyze it. She doesn't consciously think, I like his presence. Instead, she simply feels more at ease when you're close. Her breathing slows. Her guard lowers. She listens more carefully. She feels safer, not because you are loud or dominant, but because you are grounded and self-contained. Your presence is not demanding, it is inviting. And you can notice this attraction in the subtle way she behaves. Maybe she lingers a little longer in conversation. Maybe she unconsciously positions herself near you, even when there's plenty of space elsewhere. Maybe she smiles with a kind of warmth reserved specifically for you. These behaviors are small, almost invisible to the untrained eye, but not to the man who has learned to observe without ego. The truth is simple. A woman's consistent, quiet attention is the greatest compliment a man can receive at this stage of life. It means your presence still matters. It means your energy still affects her, and it means that age has not diminished your value. If anything, it has refined it. So reflect on this. Presence is not built in a day, and it cannot be faked. It is the natural outcome of living with depth. If you want to be irresistible, cultivate who you are. Not who you think you should be, because the strongest attraction is created not by performance, but by authenticity. When we look at the second sign, the effort she puts into staying connected. It reveals something profound about human nature, especially later in life. At 60 and beyond, people become far more selective about where they place their time, their attention, and their emotional energy. The superficial interactions that once filled our younger years lose their appeal. We don't reach out to others unless there is a genuine desire to maintain the connection. And this is why her consistent effort, no matter how small it may seem on the surface, is not casual. It is a quiet declaration of interest. A woman who still finds you irresistible at this stage doesn't communicate out of boredom or habit. She communicates because something inside her feels alive when she interacts with you. She reaches out not because she has nothing else to do, but because she feels something worth nurturing. And this is what many men overlook. Attraction in mature years is expressed not through intensity, but through intention. When she texts you just to check how your day is going, when she calls to hear your voice without needing a specific reason, when she sends you something she saw that reminded her of you, these actions carry weight. They show you that you are present in her thoughts, even when you are not physically near her. She maintains the thread of connection because she doesn't want it to fade. And this willingness to invest, even in the smallest moments, is one of the clearest signs that you still matter to her. There is something very human about this. As we age, we begin to understand that time is the most precious resource we have. You don't give it away lightly. You don't waste it on people who drain you or confuse you. So when she offers you her time, she is offering you something sacred priority. She may not say it directly, but behavior always reveals the truth more clearly than words. What makes this sign powerful is that it's rarely dramatic. It's subtle, consistent, almost rhythmic. She won't bombard you with messages or overwhelm you with attention. That's what younger, uncertain love does. Instead, she stays gently present in your life. She makes sure the connection doesn't dissolve. She keeps the door open. This steadiness is not accidental. It is a reflection of emotional clarity. She knows what she feels, and she chooses to act on it without making it a performance. Men sometimes underestimate these gestures because They expect attraction to look like it did when they were 25. But mature attraction expresses itself with far more wisdom. It knows that relationships are built through continuity, not chaos. So when she chooses communication over silence, presence over distance, intention over indifference, she is showing you that your bond still holds meaning for her. And there's another layer to this. Effort is a form of vulnerability. When she reaches out first, she risks being ignored, misunderstood, or rejected. She risks revealing that she cares more than she intended to show. Even a simple message can be an act of courage. If she keeps choosing to take that risk for you, it means you still evoke something powerful in her, something she is not willing to let go of. In the end, the question you must ask yourself is simple: who does she make space for in her life? Because effort is the purest reflection of value. A woman's willingness to stay connected, consistently and intentionally, is proof that you still have a place in her heart. Don't overlook the quiet gestures. They often carry the greatest truth. And remember this: if someone fights to keep the connection alive, it's because they feel something worth keeping. When we talk about the way she mirrors your emotional state, we're talking about one of the most subtle and profound signs of connection. One that is rooted not in logic, but in the deeper psychology of human bonding. Mirroring is not something people choose consciously. It is an instinctive response that emerges when someone feels emotionally aligned with you. And at 60 or beyond, when people have long outgrown the need to impress or pretend, this kind of natural mirroring becomes even more meaningful. You will notice it in the smallest things. When you're calm, she becomes calmer. When you're in a light-hearted mood, she finds herself smiling more easily. When you share something serious, she matches the gravity of your tone. She doesn't do this because she's trying to please you. It happens because her emotional rhythm is influenced by yours. That influence is attraction. It's resonance. Her inner world shifts in response to your presence. This is not about imitation. It's about alignment. The human mind seeks harmony with those it feels connected to. This is why couples who care for each other often adopt similar gestures, similar expressions, even similar patterns of speech over time. When she still finds you irresistible, she naturally gravitates toward emotional synchrony with you. Your state becomes a reference point for hers, and this is especially revealing in a woman past 60. At this stage of life, emotional independence is well established. She does not adapt herself to just anyone. She has built her identity, her boundaries, her preferences. So if she is still adjusting her emotional tone in response to yours, it means you have a place in her internal universe. It means you affect her. And influence, quiet, unforced influence, is one of the deepest signs of attraction. There's something powerful about observing this kind of mirroring. You may notice that when you speak, she listens not just with attention, but with emotional presence. She responds from a place of understanding rather than reaction. She matches your pace, your energy, your mood. This is the mind's natural way of moving closer to someone it respects and desires. Her body language reflects this too. If you lean in, she subtly mirrors the movement. If you slow down your speech, she slows as well. If you open up emotionally, she follows. And what makes this sign meaningful is that it can't be performed. People cannot sustain mirroring without genuine emotional engagement. It breaks the moment there is disinterest, resentment, or emotional distance. When she mirrors you consistently, it shows continuity, not performance. It shows that she experiences you not as an outsider passing through her life, but as someone she wants to stay aligned with. Many men underestimate the significance of this. They look for grand gestures, dramatic confessions, or obvious expressions of interest, but mature attraction rarely looks dramatic. It is expressed through understanding, presence, and emotional harmony. If she mirrors your state, she is telling you in the quietest way possible that she feels safe in your world and she wants you in hers. And there's a responsibility tied to this recognition. When someone aligns their emotions with yours, it places you in a position of influence, one that should be handled with awareness and respect. Your energy affects her. Your calm soothes her. Your clarity strengthens her. Your emotional discipline becomes something she leans into without even realizing it. So pay attention. Look beyond the surface. Emotional mirroring is not an accident. It is the heart recognizing a familiar rhythm. And here is the reflection to carry with you. When someone's emotions echo yours, it's because their heart is still listening. When we consider the idea that she still wants to look her best around you, we have to understand what that truly means at this stage of life. After 60, appearance is no longer about competing, impressing, or seeking validation from the world. Those motivations belong to earlier chapters of our lives when insecurity and societal expectations still had a loud voice. But with age comes a kind of clarity. People dress for comfort, for confidence, and for themselves. They no longer feel obligated to perform for others. So when a woman still makes the effort to look good in your presence, it is never superficial. It is intentional. You'll see it in subtle choices, not dramatic ones. She may adjust her hair before she greets you. She may choose a particular outfit that she knows brings out a certain confidence in her. She may apply a little perfume, even on a casual day, simply because she knows she will see you. These gestures are small, but they carry emotional weight. They are expressions of respect, interest, and desire. Not desire in the loud, youthful sense, but the mature desire to present her best self to someone who still matters to her. At this age, people don't invest energy into anything that doesn't feel meaningful. So when she prepares herself with care, before meeting you, it shows she values the interaction. She is not doing it out of fear of judgment. She is doing it because you bring out a version of herself she enjoys stepping into. This is perhaps the most important part. Attraction is not only about how she sees you, but how she experiences herself around you. If you make her feel more alive, more feminine, more present, she naturally wants to reflect that energy outward. There is also a quiet vulnerability in this effort. When a woman chooses to look her best for someone, she is allowing herself to be seen. She is opening a door to her inner world, signaling that she cares enough to show you the version of herself that she is proud of. This is not vanity. This is connection. And connection is expressed through care. Men often underestimate how meaningful this is. They assume she always dresses nicely, or she just has good style. But if you pay close attention, you will notice the distinction. There's a certain softness in her eyes when she asks how she looks, a slight hesitation as if she hopes you notice, a subtle lift in her posture when she sees your reaction. These micro expressions reveal more than any spoken compliment ever could. And remember, at 60, confidence and insecurity coexist more peacefully. People know who they are, yet they are still human. They still want to feel attractive, valued, and appreciated. When she tries to look good for you, she is communicating something wordless, that your presence still awakens a spark inside her, one she does not feel with everyone. This behavior is especially powerful because it cannot be replicated artificially. If she did not care, she would not try. Time teaches people to conserve their energy for what truly matters. For her to invest it in you means you still occupy a meaningful place in her emotional landscape. And there is a deeper wisdom here. Attraction after 60 is not about seeking external validation. It is about nurturing internal resonance. When you inspire someone to elevate their presence, it means you bring out something essential in them. You remind them of their own worth, their own beauty, their own vitality. So observe the effort she makes, not with ego, but with awareness. Her care is a mirror reflecting the value she sees in you. And when someone chooses to shine in your presence, it's because you illuminate a part of them they want to share. Remember this. When a woman chooses to look her best for you, she is telling you, without words, that you still matter. When we talk about the comfort she feels in her vulnerability, we're speaking about one of the deepest indicators of genuine attraction. Especially later in life, vulnerability is not something people hand out freely at 60. By this age, a person has lived through enough to know the cost of opening themselves to the wrong person. They know the weight of betrayal, the sting of disappointment, and the quiet exhaustion that comes from carrying emotional burdens alone. So when she allows herself to be vulnerable with you, it is not a mistake. It is a choice, a deliberate, conscious choice. You'll notice it in the way she shares parts of her life that she normally keeps guarded. It might be memories she rarely speaks about. It might be fears she has never voiced. It might be regrets she carries quietly or hopes she still holds on to, even if she doesn't admit them often. When she lowers her defenses in your presence, it means she feels safe emotionally, mentally, and energetically. And safety is the most powerful form of attraction at this stage of life. Vulnerability is a reflection of trust, and trust is built through consistency. Something about your presence tells her she can breathe a little deeper. Something about your energy tells her she doesn't need to present a perfect version of herself. She doesn't need to impress you, perform for you, or hide the more fragile parts of who she is. She can be real, and being real is one of the most intimate experiences two humans can share. What's important to understand is that vulnerability is not loud. It is not dramatic. It doesn't show up as grand emotional confessions. Often, it appears in small, quiet moments. When she sighs and says, "I don't usually talk about this." When she pauses before admitting something personal. When she shares a story that carries emotional weight. When she reveals what keeps her awake at night, or what she still dreams about despite her age. These moments are not accidental. They are invitations into her inner world. A woman who does not feel connected to you will keep everything on the surface. She will be polite, conversational, maybe even friendly, but she will be closed. She will stay behind the invisible walls she has learned to build throughout her life. But when she lets you in, she is telling you that you have passed a threshold few others reach. She is showing you that your presence gives her comfort, and your character gives her confidence, and it's not just emotional vulnerability. Sometimes it's the vulnerability of letting you see her without pretense, without control. She might let you see her frustration, her sadness, her uncertainty. She might allow herself to laugh freely, cry openly, or admit when she needs support. These are not weaknesses. They are signs of trust. At 60, vulnerability becomes a gift, not a risk. Men often misunderstand this. They think strength means never showing emotion, and they believe women want them to be invincible. But true relational strength comes from creating a space where vulnerability can exist without judgment. When she feels comfortable exposing the most authentic parts of herself, it means your presence has become a sanctuary. It means she sees in you someone stable enough to hold her truth, gentle enough to respect it, and wise enough not to misuse it. And here is the deeper insight. People open up only when they feel the other person's presence will protect, not threaten, their inner world. If she feels safe enough to reveal herself, it means your presence still moves her in a way she cannot ignore. So pay attention to what she shares. Pay attention to what she entrusts to you. Vulnerability is not casual. It is sacred. And remember this: when someone lets you see their true self, they are showing you the part of them that only love, or the possibility of love, can reach. When we talk about subtle jealousy, especially in someone over 60, we have to understand it through a very different lens than the jealousy we see in youth. Younger jealousy is loud. It is impulsive, reactive, sometimes even dramatic. Mature jealousy, however, is quiet. It hides behind dignity. It carries restraint. It doesn't want to disturb the peace or appear needy. But it still appears because attraction, interest, and emotional attachment do not vanish with age. They simply evolve into something more refined. So when she shows a trace of jealousy, it reveals something powerful, that your presence still holds emotional weight for her. She may not admit it directly. She may not even fully recognize it in herself. But the body reveals what the mind tries to hide. You will see it in the subtle shifts. the way she suddenly becomes more attentive when another woman engages with you, the slight change in her tone, the unexpected seriousness in her eyes, when the topic involves someone else taking your time or attention. These reactions are not about possessiveness. At this stage of life, people are not trying to you. They've lived too much, learned too much, grown too much. Instead, these moments show that she still feels connected to you in a way that is meaningful and perhaps a little vulnerable. And vulnerability only exists where there is emotional investment. It's also important to recognize that mature jealousy often expresses itself through an increased desire to re-establish closeness. She may lean into the conversation a bit more. She may start sharing something personal, interesting to pull your attention back, or she may simply observe quietly, but with a heightened presence. A presence that says, I still care what happens around you. This type of jealousy is not loud because she respects you. She respects herself. She doesn't want to create discomfort. But that doesn't mean the emotion isn't there. It simply means she handles it with grace. And grace, in this context, is another sign of interest. It shows that she values the connection too much to let insecurity disrupt it. What makes this sign so meaningful is that jealousy, when expressed in these soft, understated ways, is never triggered by indifference. Indifference is silent. Indifference is stillness. Her subtle reactions show movement. They show that something in her responds to the idea of losing you, even if she would never articulate that feeling aloud. At 60, people do not waste emotional energy on relationships that don't matter. They don't get jealous over people they don't care about. Their emotional world has been refined by time, shaped by loss, strengthened by experience. So when she reacts, even slightly, it signals that you retain a place in her life that others do not occupy. Men often miss these cues because they look for dramatic behaviors. But mature attraction is subtle by nature. It whispers instead of shouts. It hints instead of demands. If you observe carefully, you'll see that her jealousy is really a reflection of her investment. She wants your presence. She values your attention. She cares about her place in your world, even if she hides these feelings behind composure. And here is the deeper truth. The more emotionally secure someone is, the more meaningful their jealousy becomes. Because it is not about fear, it's about value. It's about acknowledging that something matters enough to be protected, even quietly. So, when you notice these subtle shifts in her behavior, don't dismiss them. They are the last layer of honesty a person shows when they are trying to stay controlled yet connected. They reveal that despite the years, despite the experience, despite the calm maturity, some feelings remain timeless. Remember, this subtle jealousy is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that your presence still touches a place in her heart she doesn't show to everyone.